Hey everyone, I'm TM Sparrow, writer and homeschooling mom, and today I'm sharing my thoughts on Time Management for Writers by Katie Forrest. Before I get started, I want to apologize for my lack of a video last week. I was very sick with a pretty miserable cold, so recording just wasn't possible. 2020 has been a crazy year for pretty much everyone, so I hope you guys will cut me a little bit of slack. So, Time Management for Writers isn't exactly a craft book by definition, but time management is an area where I definitely struggle. So, since this book is marketed towards writers, I thought it would be a pretty good candidate for my review series. Katie Forrest is a self-professed time management geek. She describes herself as a busy wife and special needs parent, doing her best to juggle that with her work. She lives in England, and on top of managing mom life and writing under 3 different pen names, she also runs a boutique law firm. Right off the bat, I feel a bit of kinship with Katie. Now, I'm not a parent to a special needs child, nor am I a lawyer, but I am a wife and mom balancing a lot of other plates on top of my writing. Writer, homeschool mom, YouTuber, dance mom, the overwhelm is real sometimes. But Katie's conversational tone and transparency put me at ease almost as soon as I started reading the book. In a lot of ways, reading this book felt like having a conversation with a friend or mentor over a cup of tea or coffee, which is something that I love in a book like this. In fact, I would describe the voice of this book as being somewhat similar to Sacha Black's in The Anatomy of Prose, which you may remember I loved. So we're off to a really great start. Overall, I would say this was a really great book, and in a lot of ways, it wasn't what I was expecting. Right off the bat, Katie talks about how our society glorifies the idea of being busy, and why this is actually a bad thing. It was super reassuring for me to see in print someone saying that it's okay if you can't do it all. So this book isn't going to teach you how to do everything, but it will help you learn how to prioritize and manage your time so that you can get the most important things done. Plus, Katie is not a proponent of sticking to a rigid schedule. Not really. Yes, one of the assignments that she gives is to create an ideal schedule, but she makes sure to point out that the ideal doesn't always happen. And that's okay. This was a huge shift in mindset for me. Like, it's okay for me to not worry about sticking exactly to the schedule every time? What? Honestly, that was a huge relief for me to see someone else say. Trying to stick to an exact schedule 100% of the time burns me out faster than a lit match. But it also helps me to have some idea of what I should be doing and when I should be doing it. If I have a lot to get done, but I don't have a plan for how and when to do it, then I get overwhelmed and I shut down. As a result, I've always struggled with feeling like a failure, no matter which path I tried to take. But now I have reassurance that it's okay to have a schedule planned out, but to not stick to it exactly all of the time. And all of this is just in the beginning of the book. The rest of the book is packed with helpful information. Katie starts by taking you through a process of determining your goals and responsibilities and breaking them down into 3 categories: mastery, passion, and essential drudgery. Just as an example, my mastery zone only includes writing and recording videos. These are things that only I can do. No one else can write my book for me, and no one else can take my place recording videos. My passion zone has homeschooling, making my husband's lunches for work, and creating my planner spreads, among other things. And of course, my essential drudgery zone holds things like laundry, record keeping, and other chores like that. Then she has you apply her ADAPT framework to this list. ADAPT is an acronym for Automate, Ditch, Accelerate, Procrastinate, and Transfer. And this process was actually super helpful in narrowing down the things that I really need to focus on. The Automate section didn't really do much for me because I am a lazy creature and I already have pretty much everything automated that can be. The rest, however, was actually kind of mind-blowing, which might seem silly to you, but that's okay. Now, the ditch part was kind of hard for me, because it's basically giving yourself permission to drop the things that aren't necessary. And just the amount of guilt I have always felt for saying no or not doing something made this a very difficult concept for me. But it is an important one because I do have a habit of taking on too much and spreading myself too thin. So if I start to ditch the things that are not important and not essential, then it will help me make time to concentrate on the things that are essential and important. To summarize the rest of the framework, Accelerate is pretty much just doubling down and focusing on the really immediate and important things. Procrastinate does not mean putting off important things. It just means that it's okay to procrastinate on things that do not have to be done right away. The example used in the book is RSVPing to a wedding invitation when the deadline is 3 months away. Something like that would be okay to procrastinate, whereas something like maybe doing the dishes would not be. Then there's transfer, which is basically just asking for help when you need it, or making sure that everyone in your household is doing their own fair share of the household chores. Katie gives fantastic tips on each section of the framework. One of the things that really stuck with me was the idea of doing trades. This was something I had never really considered outside of doing critique partner swaps. But she points out that there are a lot of ways that trading responsibilities can be super helpful in managing your time. So I feel like that's really the core of the book, but there's also so much more. Now, I don't have the time or the inclination to give away all of the tips that Katie shares in her book, so you will just have to read it if you're interested in finding out more. But I will say that while some of the things that she says were familiar to me, I feel like Katie did a great job of explaining how these things work and why they might work for some people. One last note about something that I loved about this book. From the very beginning, Katie points out that no one piece of advice is going to work for every person. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you probably can already imagine that I was almost shouting yes when I read this. This is something that I feel very strongly about. So it really resonated with me. And I truly appreciate that she started out the book with this statement and then put reminders throughout. Okay, now for the negatives. On the nitpicky side, editing. It wasn't as bad as some books that I've read, but there were some issues that had me raising an eyebrow long before she actually stated in the book that she does not use a professional editor. And that's another thing. I feel very strongly that if you are going to sell a book, you have to hire a professional editor. I don't care how clean your drafts are. If you are selling a product, you have a responsibility to make sure that you are giving your customer the highest quality product that you can. And I'm sure that it's possible to be successful without hiring professional editors, but I don't believe that it's very probable. The only other thing that really didn't sit well with me was the way that she addressed health and fitness. Don't get me wrong, these things are important, and it's easy to forget how things like hydration, nutrition, and even sleep can affect your productivity. However, some of the things that she said about exercise were borderline fat shaming, and that is just not okay. There are many reasons why someone might put on weight or find it difficult to lose weight, and I don't feel like that was given very much consideration in this section of the book. All things considered, though, I really did love this book. I learned a lot from it, and I am super excited to put those things into practice. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's wanting to learn how to be more productive or who's interested in learning more time management skills. Okay. So that's all I have for you today. Is time management an issue for you too, or is it just me? You can let me know in the comments down below. Or, as always, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you want to see more, then don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos on Wednesdays. See you next time. Hey everyone, I'm TM Sparrow, writer and homeschooling mom, and today, and of course my essential drudgery zone includes things like She describes herself as She lives in England, and on top of her but I am a busy mom. But I am a wife and mom juggling a lot of writer. That is a great start. Plus, she doesn't preach a like, it's okay for it's okay for me not to worry about sticking to Katie starts by having you Katie starts by taking my passion zone has homeschooling, and this process was actually super helpful. To summarize the rest of the framework, accelerate is doubling the example and the example used in the book is and I truly appreciated that she started out the book with All things considered, though, I really did love this book. and I learned a lot from it. And no. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's looking to learn better time management skills. No.